Well, another day was going by. I was doing some work around the house. I had the smelter turned on, working on building a little heater for Spencer. She was complaining of being cold at night. Marjot was going to do some cleaning when she got up. The place was quite the mess. Everybody was feeling alright though. We needed to get Spencer armed. We had a shotgun sitting around. So I built her a heater, carried the wood out of her room, got that stuff put away. Outside's kind of a mess, but it was high time I got kitted up with my gear. Same for Marjot. We had this marine armor. We knew we were going to get assaulted pretty heavily once the ship started firing up. Spencer's going to equip herself a gun, do some cleaning. So I got suited up, looking good. Decided to make some shells for the mortars. Also decided to make some food. We were a little short on that. And Marjot finally got up. She got to cleaning. We decided to build another chair. Or install one. We had an extra one from when we'd done research. It'd be nice if we could all sit down together and have a meal. Marjot got her fancy armor on. I decided to chill out. Just lay around. Marjot installed that chair. There was still some steel down to the south, so Marjot went to grab that. And I kept on making shells. It seemed like a worthwhile endeavor. Marjot was melting the slag down. And Spencer was hauling steel slag. So Marjot would have more to work on. But it wasn't too long. We finally decided to start the ship up. And thus we did. Finally it was time. Getting really close to time to get off this planet. We decided to stay inside. Spencer went on a cleaning spree, which is great because there are spots in here we had never cleaned. Marjot chilled out and tossed some horseshoes for a while. I decided to do a little smelting just to get a feel for it, since I hadn't done a lot of it. Place is quite the mess, but Spencer was on top of that. Looked like our cooler had never once been cleaned either. I decided to go to bed a little bit earlier than usual. I was feeling alright, just tired. Getting up early, working all day. Marjot continued working on the steel. Spencer kept right on cleaning. I got up in the mid-evening hours, decided to do some cooking. Spencer was still cleaning, Marjot was still smelting. We felt like we had a lot of work to do. Spencer got kitted up in some of the clothes we'd left sitting. So she felt like she had some decent gear. Something to try and keep her safe. Should some people show up and try and kill us. Spencer was injured. There wasn't a lot we could do for it. She was a little crabby about all the disturbed sleep. But it wasn't too long, about 3 in the morning. First batch of jerks showed up. Trying to get a hold of us. We had to get Spencer a helmet. That psychic foil thing she had on wouldn't do her much good. And the people that were coming to attack us decided to go right through the walls. They weren't going to be bothered with our guns and our traps, unfortunately. So we grabbed our guns. We were so well armored we weren't terribly afraid. Marjot and I went around to the north. Spencer ran around the other way from the south. And someone was out there hacking away at our wall. Some of those people did end up stepping on our traps. Got themselves killed and decided to run away. The rest of them ended up getting inside though. They all decided to swarm after Spencer, which we had to prevent. They killed our boom rats, at least one of them, followed by the other. One of them exploded, hurt one of the dudes that had come in, caught him on fire. He took off running. Spencer was trying to hightail it out of there. One of those people went around and destroyed our cooler for our bedroom, which was unfortunate since they take a fair amount of materials. They were creeping around behind our house. Spencer was trying to shoot them but not having any luck with that shotgun. Marjot and I, still in the north, we decided to run around and assist. Hopefully Spencer'd be alright. Someone with a sword was chasing after her. Hopefully she's smart enough to try and take them over where the guns are. Those people then decided to steal what they could and leave, but they were still going after Spencer. Since they were just going to steal stuff and try and bail, we hid in the corner, started shooting anyone we could. They had our health shards and our big fancy bed. About that time, some cargo pods came down. Some more tea, of all things. We'd have to deal with that later, though. We killed the person carrying our bed. The person with the health shards was getting away, though. And our wood shed was burning down. Plus, we'd have to build a new cooler yet. The AC. Not that it was the time of year that you needed something like that, but Spencer ran up north to help. She decided to start putting out fires. We killed the fellow that had taken off with our health shards. The other ones were coming along too, though. That guy left some silver and a gun. Not that we were likely to need those things, but wouldn't hurt just in case. So the other two were trying to get out of there, and we gave them the business. Took care of them all. So they were all down and out. We had some fires to deal with, though, and that wasn't good. Marjot decided to get our beds set up sooner rather than later. We had some walls to rebuild as well, where they'd hacked through them. Fortunately, we had a bit of granite sitting about. Our boom rats are well dead by then. Crispy little things. And our AC still needed rebuilding, so we'd have to plan for that. We got the fires put out. We were going to have to figure out how to best focus our time here. There were going to be a lot of tasks to do. We decided just to take those bodies out back and dump them. Our traps out front still needed to be rebuilt. A whole bunch of dead people laying on those as well. Some of them weren't even dead. We weren't going to bother with them, though. We were going to try and keep things rebuilt as best we could. Eventually, that girl laying there unconscious, die on her own. Certainly wouldn't take long, considering she was pretty well hacked up from the trap she'd stepped on. Spencer was having a beer. Neither of us thought to complain about it. If that's how she wants to do it, well, it's her business. I decided to chill out and watch a little TV. Marjot went to bed. She'd had enough for the day. It wouldn't be long before I joined her, though. Marjot hopped up to get back to work. She said the dead bodies out there were driving her nuts. So she hauled bodies. I built traps. Someone had left us a little ambrosia, one of the people that had been killed. And there was no end of bodies that needed to be hauled out of there. Spencer was still sleeping. Marjot went back to bed, feeling pretty crabby for all the dead people she'd seen, but otherwise not a lot to complain about. I was working on rebuilding those traps before somebody else showed up with some intentions of doing us harm. Spencer equipped a different gun. One of those raiders had left something real nice, so she was happy to take that. Marjot and I were off to bed. Spencer started hauling all the bodies out from behind the house. Well, Marjot and I had ourselves a good time that night. All the excitement of the battle really gets us wound up. So we were hauling stuff. We decided we could actually butcher one of our boom rats. Perhaps both of them. I'd have to check their condition. Marjot went around doing repairs. now that all the traps were rebuilt. We had a little bit of steel, but not a ton. When I got out of bed, I started repairing the walls, inner and outer. I even fixed up the woodshed. No sense leaving it shabby. Marjot decided to smoke a joint. May not be the best considering we need clear heads right now, but she was pretty crabby, so more power to her. Spencer's running around picking up more slag, along with that tea that had come out of the sky. We probably had plenty as it was, but a little more wouldn't hurt, I'm sure. I was cooking meals like mad, just trying to get enough that we wouldn't have to worry about it here. Spencer's running outside where we'd put all the dead bodies. Going to get the rest of that slag. I decided to do some cleaning in the kitchen. Really don't want to get sick at this time. And I kept right on cooking. The ship was still firing up. It had 13 days left. So we'd gotten through 2 so far. Spencer was hauling things around, cleaning things up. I decided to take a break from cooking and toss some horseshoes. And Marjot was making steel that we could use from all those steel slag chunks that were laying around. Spencer chilled out and smoked herself a joint. Marjot went off to bed, hardly having anything to complain about. I joined her, and then Spencer went down, and we were all feeling alright. Marjot got up pretty early and started smelting again. I got up and started butchering the critters we had about. And it was about that time a bunch of mechanoids showed up. Didn't seem like a very major threat. There was a few different groups of them. So we decided to run out and defend the front of the home. If they were dumb enough to fall for the traps and the guns, this wouldn't even be a problem. Sounded like they were, and sure enough, we could hear the traps going off. The beast screaming. Only one of them of the whole lot made it in. So we could probably break those things down. We were going to make another spot somewhere for Spencer to stand so she could shoot people as well that were trying to come busting in. So we moved a gun out to the middle. Seemed like a good play. Probably lure things in. Better than having them come right after us. We had traps to rebuild again. About that time, a whole bunch of tribes people showed up. So once again, we were back to it. We'd built a little area for Spencer to stand. And we all got ready. Turns out, though, they decided to just go ahead and avoid coming on in. So, since I was well armored, I ran out and started shooting at them. They completely ignored me, though. No matter that I was shooting them right in the back. Bunch of jerks. We were going to have to go in and see what they were going to be up to here. And about that time, there was an exotic goods trader nearby. We'd have to see if we could get a hold of him. Kind of had our hands full at the minute, though. We were hoping the exotic goods trader would get into it with these people that were trying to bust through our wall. Be nice to save us some trouble. And sure enough, it didn't take them long. They made it on into the inside. First guy that came in, we schmucked him quick. Spencer wasn't in the best spot for getting shots off. Marjot and I sure were, though. They were going to get a hold of Marjot one way or the other, and there was a whole lot of them. She thought about boogieing. We weren't sure what to do. Marjot was surrounded. Spencer's hiding behind a big piece of slag steel, shooting at some jerk that was tossing peelers at her. They got a hold of me before too long as well. So we were all entangled, a pretty big bad way. Spencer's having good luck with that chain shotgun. Marjot and I, not so much. Marjot got herself beat up bad. She went down. Spencer kept right on shooting. She didn't have much choice, I guess. I was over there, swinging my gun. Couldn't even shoot at people. Marjot was overall in decent shape. She wasn't bleeding or anything because the armor had kept her safe. Spencer shot one down. Marjot was having a hard time. She couldn't get up. She was yelling and stuff. But Spencer was bringing him down. If it wasn't for her, we probably wouldn't be here. We'd have been overrun. So I ended up dropping one with my gun, and the rest of them all decided to take off. I made it my top priority. Go ahead and rescue Marjot. Spencer decided she was going to take some of these fools out if she could. She was furious at what they'd done. That traitor was still making his way up. Spencer took some shots at one person that was fleeing but didn't have any luck. And we were going to have to rebuild some walls. Marjot's gun was laying out. Some of the people that had busted in were still alive. There's going to be a bunch of bodies to carry out again. I was tending to Marjot, making sure she was in okay shape. Then I had to get myself tended to. This armor's pretty amazing, I'll tell you that. So those people were fleeing, and that caravan completely ignored them. They must have been friendly to each other, which is really unfortunate. I also had to go and tend to Spencer. She'd probably taken the worst of it since she didn't have the armor to protect her. So I went over there, dealt with her as well once I got myself tended up. That was pretty rough. We were all pretty beat up. I brought Spencer a meal. And then I ate myself some chocolate. Chilled out for a bit. Went and fed Marjot as well. She couldn't get up out of bed. I decided to go talk to that traitor. Ask him what the hell his problem was, why he didn't help us out there. Turns out they don't have a problem with those people. I sold some guns, bought some bionics that they had. We could start getting Spencer taken care of with some bionics. That'd be nice. We didn't have time to make them, most like. But we had tons of silver we were never going to do much else with, so Spencer was hauling stuff around, putting it away. And it was finally time for me to hit the hay at 11 p.m. Decided maybe I'd better build that wall before going to bed, though. Especially since other people could just come walking right in, unobstructed like. So I got to working on that. And then there was a pirate merchant flying overhead. I decided to give him a call as well. I bought some more bionics. And we sold some random stuff we didn't need. Then I was finally off to bed. It had only taken about 4 extra hours. Marjot was still pretty beat up. That trade caravan that was here decided to take off. One of those fellas, laying around injured inside, decided to get up and walk out. Little does he know, he's not going to make it too far. Our guns cut loose on him. Took him right out. Stupid idiot. Should have went out the back door. Spencer's cleaning up, hauling stuff, getting things taken care of. I slept in. Marjot, she still couldn't get up out of bed. That was a heck of an assault. And if it hadn't been for Spencer, we wouldn't be here anymore. So I had to get Spencer tended up. I decided to build the wall first, though. I was going to get Spencer set up with those bionics. So the wall was built. And we had 3 bionics to give her at the minute. At least that's what we set her up with. I had some chocolate. I was still a little beat up, but not too bad. Marjot was well tended, so we were feeling okay that she'd be coming together. She had some broken ribs. First 2 operations on Spencer went very well. I decided to chill out. Marjot and Spencer are both down and out due to injuries and anesthesia. I did another operation on Spencer, and that went well. Turns out I bought all kinds of stuff to give her, so I just kept operating on her. I was having good success. Marjot was finally able to walk again, so the first thing she did was jumped up, grabbed her gun. She was still pretty beat up and she was moving real slow. I had to fix some broken down guns. We still had mechanoids sitting everywhere. One of those fellas that had tried to run away was down and out outside. And about that time, a bunch of aliens showed up. Marjot was right nearby. She drafted up, ran over by me. And there were aliens coming from all sides. Guns should be able to take care of these. Marjot was about as slow as it could get. The guns were going nuts though. So that was good. Marjot decided just to stay inside. She was moving too slow, and if something got a hold of her, she heard all the firefighting, changed her mind again. Turns out though, with all these guns, those aliens weren't much of a threat at the minute. Spencer was still laid up with the anesthesia. She finally popped up, started getting the bodies hauled out. She was moving pretty quick, though she was still a little bit injured. I decided to hit the hay. I was almost fully healed, as my leg didn't feel quite right, but the armor provided some support and strength. Marjot was trying to get herself a meal, having the darndest time. She was starving, could barely make it over and get a meal. There were still all kinds of bodies outside, aliens. One of them was still alive. Spencer could sense it, so she ran on out there and started shooting at it. Turns out, chain shotgun does a decent amount. So she was shooting it up, and she decided to run inside. All of a sudden, we knew more of them aliens were coming. Wouldn't be long. Turns out 2 groups showed up at the same time. I ran on out there with my gun to see if I could do some damage. Stop some guns from being destroyed. And the damn things... One of them actually made it over to me. But fortunately, the guns did their job. There were so many aliens coming. Spencer and I just decided to get the hell out of there. Certainly didn't seem worth it. And we had so many guns. Should be able to deal with itself without either of us getting injured. Marjot was in bed sleeping. Spencer and I were waiting to see if any aliens would penetrate. Those guns are insane. And they did the job. There was so much to clean up. It was going to take us a while. And the aliens just kept right on coming. There's no end to these darn things. I ran out there to see if I could get a couple shots off again. And still the aliens kept coming. Still the guns kept shooting. Some of the aliens were alive yet. Those things are freaky. So I had to run out. Give them the business as best I could with the assault rifle. One of the guns broke down. I certainly didn't want that. So I got that repaired. Marjot was still sleeping. She eventually decided to pop up, start getting busy on some work. Spencer was doing some cleaning. There was blood everywhere from that last assault. We had 10 days left before we could get out of here. Guns needed repair, so I was focusing on that. And we were rebuilding traps as well. Marjot still wasn't moving too quick. She was still pretty beat up. Whole lot of bruises and stuff. About that time, more people showed up, trying to get a hold of us. We decided to jump on the mortar since we had some shells and see if we could give them the business from afar. Hopefully they wouldn't try and make it through one of our walls, because if they did, it could be the end. So they were moving quick. They decided to mill around a bit. Turns out one of them little aliens was out there assaulting a pig. They came across it and ended up killing him. Some of our traps had been rebuilt. Some of those people got killed by the traps. The rest of them just came running right in, not realizing there were guns in there. And those guns cut loose on them. There were still quite a few of them around. People and guns. They really didn't stand any chance though, because once they walked in, the guns took them out. Marjot was going out there to see how the heck it was going. Spencer's just standing there, waiting for a target. And more people kept coming in. More people kept getting shot. Spencer and Marjot didn't even have anything to do. It was still a horde of people. You almost felt bad for them. I was still trying to work the mortar. They were getting too close though, so I didn't think I'd have any luck. They kept coming in. There was a massive pile of bodies in the front of the gun box. Some of them had some guns. Spencer saw a heavy SMG laying out there, so she ran out to get that. We had a ton of bodies to haul off and traps to rebuild. Those people decided to run away. One of them took out one of our traps. There was so much to do here. It seemed like we were in over our heads. It was raining a bit, which was good. All the blood and mess out there to get cleaned up. I went to bed, tired as it gets. Been a heck of a couple days. Spencer did the same. She was doing okay with her bionics. Adjusting just fine. Marjot and I were sleeping. Spencer was up and about. We had a bunch of mechanoid bodies to break down. But we also had traps to build, bodies to haul, aliens to clear on out. So Spencer was carrying stuff, Marjot was carrying stuff. I was focusing on the rebuilding. Somebody contacted us saying they were being chased. They'd like to join us on our ship. We didn't have the materials at this point. Make another casket for them, so they were stuck. So we worked through it. Some dogs joined us about that time. Some random huskies. 3 more mouths to feed, but I guess we had a ton of food we were never going to eat at this point. Marjot started breaking down all the mechanoid bodies. She said we could get some good material out of them. Spencer was chilling out outside, just having a beer. And I was working on rebuilding the traps. But it was getting late. I had myself a beer. Also decided to eat some chocolate. Marjot was back to smelting. Our steel supply wasn't what we'd like it to be. A huge wild pig decided to be friendly at that point. Big tusk, crazy looking thing. So we welcomed it in if it wanted to be friends. Certainly wouldn't last very long. Spencer's getting chased. She'd been outside hauling bodies. One of them aliens all of a sudden showed up, started assaulting her. Not sure where the heck it came from. Another one came as well. She was injured, so she wasn't moving too quick. I grabbed my gun, decided to see if I could support her. The thing got a hold of me, but the guns brought it down. Just a couple more bruises and cracks. Feels like it's never gonna end. These dirty aliens just come out of nowhere sometimes. I went and hit the hay. Spencer decided to follow. Marjot got me tended up. And some of us came down with malaria at that point. Marjot and Spencer, which is unfortunate. I got them both tended though. And then it felt like time to relax. Been a long day. No end to the work we have around here. So I laid down. Marjot was feeling pretty happy. We chatted a bit and slept. We were both healing up from our wounds. Outside, things were a mess, but our guns were doing fine. we'd refitted the barrels right before all this started. We had 8.5 days remaining before we could get in the ship and take off, and we were counting the minutes.